sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Almighty Allah never gives as much attention to anything as He does to the voice of a Nabi reading the words of Allah in a sweet tone. It has been mentioned earlier that Almighty Allah devotes special attention to the recitation of His words. Since Anbiya meticulously observe all the rules of reverence in reading His words, Allah's listening to them with greater attention is evident, and the sweetness of voice itself adds to the embellishment. As for people other than Anbiya, meaning other than prophets, their recitation attracts divine attention according to the standard of its excellence. That's why you should try to read the Quran properly. ठीक है. عن فضالة بن عبيد رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أشد أذنا إلى قارئ القرآن من صاحب القينة إلى قينته. رواه ابن ماجه. Hazrat Fudala ibn Ubayd radiallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, عن فضالة بن عبيد رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الله أشد أذنا إلى قارئ القرآن من صاحب القينة إلى قينته. Hazrat Fudala ibn Ubayd radiallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Almighty Allah listens to the voice of the reader of the Quran more eagerly than does a master to the song of his singing slave girl. Hazrat Fudala ibn Ubayd radiallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Almighty Allah listens to the voice of the reader of the Quran more eagerly than does the master to the song of his singing slave girl. It is natural that singing should attract attention, but religious people do not listen to singing because of the restriction in Islam. However, Islam does not prohibit listening to the song of a slave woman in one's lawful possession, even though this may attract the fullest attention. It is, however, necessary that the Quran shall not be recited in a singing tone, because doing so is forbidden according to several ahadith. In one hadith, it is said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَلُحُونِ أَهْلِ الْعِشْقِ. Beware of reciting the Quran in a musical tone, like that of lovers singing their love poems as musical compositions. Very attentively, like when I start talking about the yellow pencil, now you start looking at it very eagerly, and then you think, oh, I want that yellow pencil. Oh, what is Abati saying? So the way that you look at it and you're paying attention to it and you want to get that yellow pencil, so that is eagerly. You are eagerly looking at it and paying attention to it and listening about it. Samajh gaye? That is what it means, that Allah listens to it more eagerly. Acha, abhi nahi. So the Mashayikh say that one who reads the glorious Quran like a musical song is a fasiq, is an evildoer. And even a listener to such recitation commits a sin. It is, however, desirable to recite the Quran in a sweet voice without following the rules of singing. There are various ahadith containing exhortation for reading the Quran in a sweet voice. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said at one place, adorn the Quran with a good voice. In another hadith it is said, a sweet voice makes the Quran twice as beautiful. Hazrat Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullah alayhi has written in his book Ghunya that once Hazrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu happened to pass a place in the vicinity of Kufa and saw a gathering of evildoers in a house. A singer named Zadan was singing and playing his instrument. On hearing his voice, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, what a sweet voice, if it were only used for reciting the glorious Quran. And thus saying, he covered his head with a piece of cloth and went on his way. Zadan had seen him saying something. On inquiring from the people, he became aware that Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu was a Sahabi who had passed saying those words. Zadan was very perturbed by the remark uh, and, and to cut the story short, he broke all his musical instruments and became a follower of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, and thereafter rose to the position of a distinguished scholar of his time. There are various ahadith that commend reading of the glorious Quran in a good voice and at the same time prohibit reading it in a voice resembling singing, as has been stated before. Hazrat Hudayfa radiallahu anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Recite the Quran in the Arabic accent. Do not recite it in the tone of lovers or that of Jews and Christians. There will shortly arise a people who will recite the Quran with affectation like singers and mourners, and such reading will be of no benefit to them at all. They themselves will get into trouble, and also those who admire their reading." Tawus rahmatullahi alayhi writes that someone asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam who it was who read the glorious Quran in the best voice. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "It is he whom you hear and feel that he is under the fear of Allah." So who is the one who recites the Quran in the best voice? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "It is he whom you hear and feel that he is under the fear of Allah." That is, his voice shows his being overwhelmed with fear. That is, however, the extreme benevolence of Allah that He does not expect from a person anything beyond his capacity. There is a hadith that Allah has deputed an angel on a special duty. If there be somebody who recites the Quran but is unable to do so correctly, this angel corrects the recitation before he takes it up to the heavens. So we should make an effort to recite the Quran correctly. So what is more important, sometimes people put a big focus on sounding beautiful. That's fine. It is mentioned that we should recite the Quran in a nice voice. But we should try to recite the Quran in a technically correct manner also. So the rules of tajweed will beautify the Quran. The ghunna, the ikhfa, the izhar, the idgham, the qutub wa jad. The qutub wa jad is the qalqala. So these rules of tajweed, we should try to learn them. We should try to apply them. It should not just be something of academic importance that now I know the rules of tajweed, so mashallah I'm good, and now I read however I want. Rather, the beautification of the Quran, reading it properly, should be being mindful of the rules of tajweed, and that will in and of itself beautify the Quran, and then a person adds from beautifies his voice, and that will further do the job. So in this case, do not listen to my recitation. It does not fit the bill. I try to stick to the tajweed, but I'm not known for my beautiful recitation. All right. Inshallah, let us read something from the stories of Sahaba, the lives of Sahaba, women's courage and spirit for Islam. Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha's desire to be included in a battle across the sea. Haram radiallahu anha was an aunt of Anas radiallahu anhu. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam often visited her and sometimes had his afternoon nap at her place. Once Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sleeping in her house when he woke up smiling. Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha said, "O Nabi of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, may my parents be sacrificed for you. Tell me what made you smile." Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I saw in my dream a few of my followers going for jihad across the sea. They in their barges looked like kings sitting on their thrones. Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha said, O Nabi of Allah, pray that I may also be among those people. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, rest assured you will be one of them. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam went to sleep again and got up smiling for the second time. On Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha's query, he said, I again saw some people going for jihad across the sea. Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha requested Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam to pray for her joining them also. The reply was, no, you are with the first group only. So during the Khilafat of Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anhu, Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, the governor of Syria, sought permission to send an expeditionary force to Cyprus. This permission was granted by Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anhu. Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha with her husband Hazrat Ubadah radiallahu anhu was in that force. While preparing to return from the island, she fell from her mule, broke her neck, and passed away. She is buried in Cyprus. Look at the spirit of Hazrat Haram radiallahu anha. She wanted to join both the expeditions, as she was destined to die. She wanted to join both the expeditions. As she was destined to die during the first expedition, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not make dua for her participation in the second one. Cyprus is an island. It is a place. No, she was not buried under the sun. She was buried on that island because she died there. Mule is the mix between a horse and a donkey. Didn't you learn that in your science class? Oh, in geography, acha. So this was the spirit of the men, of the women of that time. They wanted to be included in the service of Deen, in the khidmat of Deen, in whatever capacity they could, and they wanted to be included again and again. This was so for the men, just as for the women, just as it was for the men. So everybody wanted to have a share in propagating this Deen, in spreading this Deen, in spreading this khair, in this spreading this treasure, because they had it and they did not want anyone to be deprived of it. They wanted everyone to share in it. That's why they would go out and they would try to spread it, to share it with everyone. So also we should have this, this feeling that how can everyone benefit from the Deen? How can we be the means of them benefiting from the Deen? Whether it be with Quran, whether it be the other commandments of Allah, whether it be just recognizing Allah. You don't have to be a scholar, you don't have to be a master qari so that others understand the value of Deen. But you can talk about the greatness of Allah, how Allah is doing so many things, how Allah gives us so many things, how Allah gives us good health, how Allah gives us parents who take care of us, how Allah gives us nice, tasty foods, especially so in the month of Ramadan, where we don't find any shortage of food, rather we find an abundance and we don't know what to do with it. This is amongst the blessings of Allah. Allah give me first and all of us the tawfiq to recognize the blessings of Allah, to use this time properly. This month of Ramadan is a special blessing. Our time in this world is a blessing. نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ. So any time that we have our health, our free time, this is a blessing from Allah. But in this month of Ramadan, the rewards are increased many times, so this is a greater blessing. The Quran is a blessing. So inshallah we try to maximize our time, use our time, capitalize on it. And we should be grateful to Allah for whatever He has given us. Allah give me first and all of us the tawfiq. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallah bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka.